They say we are a TikTok generation, a generation of idiots. And when we rise up, they don't let us speak out about the country's problems.
Students took to the streets, dressed in black, to mourn those lost in the chaos. They are a generation that demands to be heard, fighting not just for their future, but for the right to speak out about the injustices that have gone on for far too long. This is more than just a protest. It's a fight for justice. It's a movement fueled by frustration, anger, and hope. A generation that refuses to be ignored, no matter the cost. From the streets of Madagascar to the global stage, youth-led protests are changing the game. Will the system listen, or will this new generation keep fighting for their future? Something big went down in Madagascar. This isn't just about water or electricity. This is about a system that's been failing the people for far too long. And now, the youth are fighting back. Imagine living in a country where basic needs like water and power are luxuries. That's what drove thousands of young people into the streets. And they're not just protesting, they're demanding change. They didn't just bring their anger, they brought their symbol. Inspired by the One Piece anime, they're waving the pirate flag. A symbol of rebellion, unity, and fighting for a cause bigger than themselves. Who are they going after? The president, President Rajoelina. His government's failure to provide basic services is what started it all, and now the youth want him out. What started as peaceful protests quickly turned violent. Tear gas, rubber bullets, chaos in the streets. Homes of political figures were targeted, and it quickly spread to 8 other cities. This is no longer just a protest, it's a revolution. People in their homeland are just treated like colonial citizens. But they forgot, social media is their weapon. They've seen the power of youth-led movements around the world, from Kenya to Nepal to Morocco, and now they're using it to fuel their fight. The energy? Unstoppable. Across the globe, a new wave is rising, one that can't be ignored. From hashtags to street marches, Gen Z is stepping up like never before. And they're not just speaking out, they're mobilizing, organizing, and uniting to demand change. From the dusty streets of Madagascar to the bustling markets of Morocco, and from Nepal's hills to Kenya's cities, youths are taking a stand. They're fighting for basic rights, power, water, education, healthcare, things that are vital for survival. In Madagascar, deadly protests erupted as power cuts and water shortages left citizens desperate. The government, struggling to provide these basic services, is facing an unprecedented test of its leadership. Meanwhile, in Morocco, billions are being poured into building mega stadiums in preparation for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. But many young Moroccans are asking the tough question: why the sports facilities when we need healthcare, education, and jobs? From the global south, a new generation is rising, one that refuses to stay silent. Youth-led protests are shaking governments to their core, demanding more than just promises. They're demanding real change, and in some cases, they've toppled leaders. This isn't just about anger, it's about action. It's about the power of a generation that refuses to be ignored. They're not just the future, they're the now. From street marches to hashtags, these young voices are a force to be reckoned with. Are you listening? 2022, 2024, 2025. Countries across the globe are being shaken by waves of protest. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Mongolia, Kenya, Indonesia, Nepal, and now Madagascar. Madagascar, an island nation off the eastern coast of Africa, is the latest to join the fight for change. On September 29th, President André Rajoelina made a shocking move, dissolving the government amidst growing outrage over power cuts and water shortages. These aren't just inconveniences, they're survival issues. The capital was gripped by unrest, streets flooded with crowds demanding action, while the government tried to restore control with dusk-to-dawn curfews. But the protests kept growing, and the people kept fighting. The violence was intense. Dozens lost their lives. Over 100 were injured as police tried to break up the demonstrations with force. The United Nations condemned the violence. This wasn't just about politics, it was about basic needs. In a televised speech, President Rajoelina addressed the nation, acknowledging the anger of the youth. He admitted that the power outages and water In September 2025, the streets of Madagascar erupted in a fierce call for change. A new movement has emerged, one that is challenging the system, demanding an end to monopolized power and the broken promises of those in charge. Young people across the nation are standing up, waving signs that demand basic human rights, water, electricity, and justice. Their message is loud and clear: it's time for a change. Inspired by movements across the globe, from Kenya to Nepal to Indonesia, these protesters have adopted a symbol that's uniting them: a pirate flag from the anime One Piece. But it's not just a symbol of rebellion, it's a symbol of unity. The chants echo through the streets: Rajoyna out! Youths are demanding more than just the sacking of government ministers. They want the president to step down. They want an overhaul of the entire system. What started as peaceful marches soon turned violent, as clashes with police escalated into looting and arson. Homes of politicians close to the president were targeted, while explosions and gunfire rang out across the capital. These youth-led protests didn't just happen overnight. Mobilized through social media, they found inspiration in movements in Nepal, Kenya, and Morocco, and drew strength from a generation that refuses to be silenced. They're mourning the loss of lives, but they're also mourning the future they've been robbed of. Dressed in black, the youth of Madagascar are sending a message loud and clear: enough is enough. This is more than a protest. This is a fight for justice, for equality, and for a future where their voices are heard, and they're not backing down. Will this movement change the game? Will the system listen? Or will this generation keep rising, demanding what's rightfully theirs? The battle for Madagascar is at a rising point. It started from Sri Lanka in 2022, but is now spreading all over the world, especially in Africa, and the world is watching.